So sometimes I get asked, what's the difference between the stock market, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, these indexes that people can invest in, or that every day, in fact, every second of every day, you can turn on a piece of technology or a TV and get an update on what these indexes, what the S&P 500 and what the Dow are doing. And I want to share a little perspective on today, the S&P 500 and the Dow. The S&P 500 is 500 of the largest publicly traded companies. They have to reach a certain criteria to get added to this index, and those companies are then tracked. The Dow Jones is a different set of companies that have to reach a different set of criteria, and they're only 30 companies. What a lot of people don't realize is that the 30 companies in the Dow Jones are completely represented or are in the 500 companies of the S&P 500. So another way of looking at it is the Dow Jones is 30 companies that they've pulled out of that 500. So one of the questions one would ask is, what would it look like if you invested in one or the other? Like, how have they done compared to each other in the past? And I just got done reading a wonderful research report. So one of the things people ask is, which one should they invest in? And what's interesting is going back to 1980 through 2023, so for over 30 years, they actually performed almost identically. This wonderful little research report that I've read reflects that the Dow Jones produced a return on average for the last 30 years of about 8.9%. And the S&P, now wait for it, for the same time frame, produced a return of 8.91%. And so what that actually shows is having diversification, which isn't owning one stock or one investment, but having many represented in a portfolio, and then time is really in the end all that matters. And all this guessing back and forth of which one you should have really isn't the issue. The issue is, have you stayed invested for those 30 years of all the different times that those investments went up or down or sold off or panicked or caused people to panic, when in the end, it's actually just staying diversified and letting time work to your advantage. And so for the last 30 years, there hasn't been a great difference between the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. And if you're wondering which one you should own, you may be asking the wrong question.